You know, in almost every culture, there's some version of this story. A powerful being comes down from the heavens and brings a little spark of the divine to earth, a gift of fire that changes everything for humanity. But here's the thing, this fire isn't always what it seems. Today, we're going to look at three figures who gave us their own unique version of fire, and the results, well, they couldn't be more different. So let's just start with that big question. If I ask you who gave humanity fire, I'm willing to bet one name just pops right into your head. And yeah, you're probably thinking of Prometheus. And you're not wrong, but his story, as famous as it is really just one piece of a much larger, much older puzzle. There are other tales out there. Some of them are darker, and maybe even more important. Okay, so let's start with the one we all know and love. Our hero, the Titan from Greek mythology who basically became mankind's greatest champion. See, Prometheus looked down at early humans, and he saw us living in what was basically an animal-like state. He thought we could be so much more, so he gave us the tools to get started. The fire he stole for us wasn't just for keeping warm, it was a symbol for knowledge, for innovation. And he didn't stop there. He followed it up with the real building blocks of society: math, writing, architecture, medicine. These were gifts meant to build us up, to help us create something lasting. And this is what really gets me, his motivation. Why did he do it? Well, in some versions of the myth, Prometheus wasn't just our helper. He was our creator. He literally fashioned the first humans out of clay. So his rebellion against the other gods, it wasn't just for the sake of it. It came from this deep, genuine love for his own creation. He truly wanted to see us succeed. All right, now let's switch gears completely. We're going to dive into a story that is radically different. This one was basically lost to the Western world for almost 2,000 years. And it's not a story about love, it's a story about lust, power, and forbidden knowledge, straight out of apocryphal texts like the Book of Enoch. This one quote from the Book of Enoch just sets a totally different scene, doesn't it? We have this group of angels, they're called the Watchers, and they come down to Earth, but they're not here to help, they're here to take. They see human women, and they're just consumed by lust. They actually make a pact with each other to betray heaven just to satisfy their own desires. And the difference in what they gave us, it's just night and day. Prometheus gives us the arts and sciences to build a civilization. But one of the lead watchers, an angel named Azazel, what does he teach humanity? How to make swords, knives, armor. He introduces metalworking, not for building, but for fighting. And he teaches women about cosmetics and jewelry. Technology is not of progress, but of vanity and seduction. So you see, this was never a benevolent gift. You could almost think of it like an unauthorized technology transfer. The Watchers handed over this advanced, really dangerous knowledge to a species that just wasn't ready for it. And the result wasn't enlightenment. It was absolute chaos. And the consequences, the fallout from this forbidden union was monstrous. And I mean that literally. The children born from the Watchers and human women were called the Nephilim. They were giants, powerful, hybrid beings whose very presence, according to the texts, corrupted the entire world and filled it with violence and unrighteousness. I mean, this passage from Enoch is just terrifying. It paints this picture of the Nephilim as having this insatiable hunger. Once they used up all of humanity's resources, they just turned on us. And then they turned on the animals. And then finally, they even turned on each other. It was like a cosmic horror story playing out on Earth. And here's where these two completely separate myths actually connect in a really surprising way. In both the Greek story and the Enochian story, the end result of all this divine meddling is a world-ending flood. Zeus sends a flood to wipe out violent humans, and God sends a flood to cleanse the earth of the Nephilim and the corruption they brought. The exact same cataclysm, but for two very different reasons. So, how did history end up judging these two fire bringers? Well, their punishments, and maybe more importantly, their legacies, couldn't possibly be more different. Just looking at them side by side tells you everything you need to know. Prometheus gets this horrific, unending punishment. He's chained to a rock while an eagle eats his liver every single day. But how do we remember him? As a tragic hero, a martyr who suffered for us. Azazel, on the other hand, is also bound and cast into darkness, but he's remembered as a scapegoat, the very source of evil who got what he deserved. So you see the incredible contrast. They both broke divine law. They both gave knowledge to humans. But one is celebrated as our champion, and the other is condemned as our corrupter. It all came down to why they did it and the kind of fire they brought down to earth. But what if there's a third kind of fire? Not the fire of technology, and not the fire of war and vanity, but something else entirely. And that brings us to our third, and often forgotten figure, the Archangel Uriel. In a lot of traditions, there are 7 great archangels standing before the throne of God, and one of them has a name that connects directly to our story today, offering a totally different kind of light.
His Hebrew name, Uriel, literally translates to "God is my light" or "fire of God." But Uriel's fire isn't a tool you can hold. It isn't a weapon or a technology. He's the archangel of wisdom and truth. His gift is divine understanding, a spiritual fire that's meant to illuminate the soul from within.
So you might be wondering, okay, if he's so important, why haven't I really heard of him? Well, there's a reason for that. For centuries, Uriel was a huge deal. But way back in 745 AD, a church council in Rome got worried that the worship of angels was getting a little out of hand, so they removed his name and a few others from the official list. He's still a major figure in other traditions, like the Eastern Orthodox Church, but he kind of faded into the background in the West.
Uriel's gifts aren't for the hands, they're for the mind and the spirit. He brings divine truth, he helps people understand prophecy, he provides guidance when things get dark. And here's the absolute key difference. Unlike the rebel watchers who brought chaos that led to the flood, ancient texts say it was Uriel who was sent by God to warn Noah that the flood was coming. He was an authorized guide, a sanctioned fire of God, whose whole purpose was to save humanity, not corrupt it.
And all of this kind of leaves us with one final big thought. We've got 3 different kinds of fire, right? There's Prometheus's fire of civilization, Azazel's fire of corruption and worldly desire, and Uriel's fire of inner wisdom. So it really makes you wonder, which fire is the most powerful? The one that helps us build the world around us, or the one that illuminates our soul?